Rosa Louise Macaulay Parks, and I'm assuming Macaulay is correct, was born on this day in 1913. Now, I'm not going to treat you people the same way everybody wants to. I talked to Foxy about this the other day. Have you noticed that every time they do a Superman movie or a Batman movie, they always got to go back to how they became, yeah, their origin story of every, like, who does not know these origin stories? So I'm not going to do this to y'all and go, so Rosa Parks was, and then the bus. And if you don't know who Rosa Parks is, it's on the equivalent of going, so Martin Luther King did what again?
Who's Martin King?
It's up there, folks. Rosa Parks. Okay, so I'm not going to go through that, but I'm going to show you a short video. I was writing it down, and I just happened to come across a video that displayed the reason why I wanted to do Rosa Parks. And again, I'm going to ask the question of why this part of the history was removed from her story. Because it just doesn't make sense to, well, it doesn't make sense to me, but I do have a theory.
At 19, she settled in Montgomery and married Raymond Parks, a barber who shared her growing fury at racial injustice. He was involved with the local chapter of the NAACP, a role many avoided for fear of persecution. At first, Raymond was eager to keep Rosa safe from the potential dangers of activism. But as she grew more incensed at the limitations imposed on African Americans, she could no longer stand by. When she officially joined the NAACP in 1943, Parks and Johnny Rebecca Carr were the only women in the Montgomery chapter. She began keeping minutes for their meetings and soon found herself elected secretary of the chapter, formally beginning her secret double life. By day, Rosa worked as a seamstress to support her mother and husband. By night, she researched and documented numerous civil rights cases, from local policy disputes to high-profile murder cases and hate crimes. As secretary, she prepared public responses on behalf of the Montgomery chapter, battling the harsh sentencing, false accusation, and smear campaigns frequently used against African Americans. In addition to her legal work, Parks was a brilliant local strategist. As advisor to the NAACP Youth Group Council, she helped young people navigate segregated systems, including voter registration and whites-only libraries. Through the cover of the NAACP, Parks strived to bring clandestine civil rights activities into the open. She advocated for civil disobedience training and spoke out against racial violence, particularly the murder of Emmett Till.
Okay, now here is, I'm going to tell you what I was taught, and then I'm going to give you my theory why this part of the history was removed. I ain't know none of that stuff. The way I was taught was this was an ordinary woman who got on a bus, a white man said move, she didn't, got arrested, and boom, we had the civil rights movement in Montgomery, Alabama. There was no mention that she already was a member of the NAACP charter in Alabama, in Montgomery, Alabama. There was no mention of that. There was no mention that she was the secretary of the Montgomery, Alabama charter of the NAACP. None of that. It was literally me.
I didn't even learn that she had gone to college.
No. I knew none of this stuff. All I knew was the way they taught me was an ordinary woman who was really, really tired. And by the way, there is a statement. I'm going to see if I can find it. Because the statement was she was really, really tired. That's not why she moved. Yeah. She was not physically tired. She said she was tired of giving in to segregation. So it wasn't even the physically tired thing. But when I was brought up, that was the story. She was what in the world did this dude say he ain't coming?
Oh no! Wait a minute! Hold on!
He wasn't coming.
Didn't he say somebody's got a birthday and I gotta be there?
Yeah. Yeah, man, my pockets wasn't in line with my heart, so I already made some apologies.
Hey, it happens, bro.
All
Brother,
the
it
I
happens.
time.
was I was in the bed about
100%.
to roll over and go to sleep with my little sad, depressed self until you keep me higher. Ooh. Okay, let me go ahead.
Keep your spirits up. But anyway,
Sorry to throw y'all off, folks. Go on with y'all
no,
saying.
no, you'll catch on real quick. So anyway, so Anna is shaking her head, Tracy is shaking her head. This was
I
something
knew
that was
this. I knew all of this. I knew the whole her sitting
so
on.
you
Okay,
did
so
know this.
Tracy, did you learn this in school?
Oh no, I didn't learn it in school. I
That's
learned it.
what I'm saying. In school,
Oh
it
no, they
was
said her
We
feet
all
were
know this
tired.
now.
She
the
was
tired
tired and
black
she had worked
woman
a
that got on
long
the bus.
day and blah blah blah. It was like when I was in a. Well, actually, I take that back. I did learn it in high school. Like they told the real story in high school,
I
but
wasn't
I
even
learned it when I was grown.
no, I
yeah.
was not grown.
I did not learn this in school.
They didn't tell you the whole thing was
Yeah.
planned. They
No.
didn't tell you they coordinated. Nope.
It was Tracy. It was literally the tired black woman who got on the bus that was
Hmm.
so too tired to move. The white man got on the bus and told her to move. She said no. The bus driver stopped the bus and told her to move. She said no. He said, if you don't move, I'm going to call the cops. She said no. The cops came on there to arrest her. And that's what sparked the civil rights movement in Montgomery, Alabama.
Mm-mm. And it had been
That
going
was
on
it.
for years before she
But
even
the
stepped
thing,
foot on that bus.
yeah, the thing, say this and then let it pass on. But can't count on your opponent to tell you the score. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So if we know that America doesn't lie sometimes, America lies all the time. Credit to Stokely Carmichael. Then we should never be surprised. That's why, on a slightly related topic, if you have children in your life, whether it be your children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, best friends, kid, um, you have to supplement their learning. You have to give them more points of view because Black History Month, I can tell you what's being taught right now across the country. What you just said about Rosa Parks, about Martin Luther King being nonviolent, and you might get a little Booker T. Washington thrown in there. No, I'm sorry, not Booker T. They won't give you that one. They'll give you George Washington Carver with them
Harvard,
peanuts.
yep.
You know what I'm saying? And that's pretty much what you're gonna get. So if you want to teach, if you want your children to know more, it's on us to give it to them. And we have become so Negropean that we want to not see or know. We actually take our pain and allow it to be our shame. And I'm like, the things that we've been through weren't our fault. So the shame isn't ours. So we have to let people know. And what you're doing today is a tremendous credit, Marlon, because people don't know. They have no clue.
It was my duty, and I'll say that off the bat that I'm not gonna come on here and give you. Sorry to keep using this word, but it is. I'm not coming on here to give you the whitewashed version of Black History Month. I can't do it. I can't give you that history anymore because yeah, Theus is absolutely correct. My question has always been, why was that part of her history erased? And I have a
Because you don't.
theory.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Rhetorical
Yeah.
question.
let me just give you my theory because I may be right or wrong on it. I may literally be right or wrong on it. I think that history was erased because they figure two things. Either they didn't want the little black kids to know that she was fighting for this right for an extended period of time before this happened. Giving them like, oh, so she was fighting for this way before this all happened. No, I'm going to stop it right there. I honestly don't have a clue why they will remove
It's
this
the
part.
whitewashing of. It's not convenient. It's not
Exactly.
convenient for people to know that Rosa Parks had been doing this years before she even stepped on that bus. Look what they do to Martin Luther King. They give us this sanitized weakling of a man. They don't talk about how he spoke out against the war and how he spoke out against other things. They just give us his "I have a dream" speech, which they totally take out of context. And that's what they did to Rosa Parks. They didn't talk about, you know, like like the video said, how she worked as a seamstress in the daytime and she was in charge of the youth movement in the NAACP, and how she plotted and she planned that protest. It just wasn't a pop-up, hey, I'm going to just sit on the bus and tell people I'm tired. No, she was tired of being told she had to sit at the back of the bus. And I wish,
Yeah,
although it'll never happen, if you're going to teach no, because it's not their responsibility. It's our responsibility. We
exactly.
have to tell our own story, because what's being told is not right.
And a couple things go into that. Thank you, Tracy. I'm 100% with you. You know, um, we have allowed ourselves to be so desperate to be accepted that we are afraid of putting our stories out there, because the villain in our story is also the ones who have power even to this day. So we have been behind, and you've heard me say it plenty of times, we are behind enemy lines. So why would your oppressor, why would your adversary, why would your enemy intentionally teach you about the organizing side, about the grassroots portions, about the fact that this goes all the way back to when we first were brought here in chains? That why would you teach the people you need to hold down that type of thing? Because what happens is, so long as we can get you to just look at this person and you can say, this person did something amazing, this person was so brave, we give you 5 names, and these are 5 names out of thousands of your people. So that lets you know that most of you need to know you're not special, you're not that person. So now what you have done is you focus the lens on the few that you can't quite seem to hide. Now, they hide a lot of our history, a whole lot of it. And then if you go digging for the history, they've manipulated it to the point you still can't get to the real information. But we can take these few who rose to such prominence that we can't hide them, and we'll just remaster their story. And see, you lack power. We lack power to push directly against that level of propaganda. So whatever we're pushing back, saying, no, that's not the whole story, no, that's not accurate, it will get missed because no one's listening to us. So you get the situation where Martin Luther King was hated by this country to the point that the FBI infiltrated the civil rights movement in his organization. The FBI got involved with that whole March on Washington they talk about, and how the president and Congress and the FBI all got together and said, this is when you can come, this is when you can go, this is what you can say. We talk about John Lewis, great man, but what do we reduce him to? A man who got hit in the head on the Edmund Pettus Bridge. But no, this was the youngest member of the was it SNCC or it was SNCC, and he comes out and he had a speech that would have set the whole world upside down, but he was pulled aside by the white powers that be, our allies, and they said that is a little bit too much. We need you to tone that down, and so he did. So what is like? No, they're not going to tell you the whole truth. They're not. There's some individuals who will, so I want to make sure I'm very clear on this. My problem is with the culture. My problem is with Eurocentric thought. Whether it comes out of a white mouth or a black mouth, it is still Eurocentric thought that I oppose. It is not white people. Right? Because white people is just too general. Sometimes we use it in lazy speech, but really it comes down to the individual when I don't like you. But as far as a collective, yes, I do have a problem because it is the collective that works in such a way as to go down in Florida and say we can't teach you Black history, to go out and say that, hey, no, Black history is American history, but take no efforts to actually teach you Black history, that will say, okay, well, we'll talk about Black people, but we'll pretend Latinos don't exist, and we'll pretend that this group over here doesn't exist. I have a problem with that, whether it comes out of a Black mouth or a white mouth, right? So to Marlon, what you were saying is like why we didn't know these things, because it wasn't their story to tell. They want you to think one woman was brave and fed up, and then everybody, now we know Black folk, okay? Been Black my whole life. One person deciding they ain't gonna go sit in the back of the bus is not gonna turn an entire city to the point where they not gonna ride the bus.
Right. Somebody was arrested. Let me see, because it was also said
in January of 55.
It was done. It was a coordinated thing.
It was many.
She was one part of the whole.
Yeah,
she
Claudette,
is.
Claudette Colvin was arrested 9 months before Rosa Parks for the exact same reason. For the exact same reason.
But when it came to Rosa, they couldn't make hers go away. See, that's one thing I really want people, no matter what your objective is. Now, I'm most passionate about the Black community, but whatever you're passionate about, folks, if you have a righteous energy behind what you were trying to do, understand that the stuff you do may not be noticed, but it does not mean that it's worthless. So each of those people before Rosa Parks were pushing, they were building the momentum.
That was a
and then Rosa was the last straw. The organization work behind the scenes that she herself was instrumental in got it to the point where the community could then come together. This is another story about how they mess with the Black church, which is why the Black church is a shadow of itself now. But they saw that we organized through the churches. And so when this last straw happened, now the organization, right? The NAACP in its heyday, the SCLC, SNCC, all of these core, they all were happening at the same time. And now the bus boycott could happen. I'm sorry?
I've never heard of SNCC.
So SNCC is a Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. And what that organization is, almost everything that was happening in the 50s, well, actually, any big movement is usually done by the youth because they have the passion.
Was that the Woolworth sit-in? Is that when it started?
They did do sit-ins, right? So there was different levels to the quote-unquote civil rights movement. Basically, our story here in America is one big movement, in my view. So the movement is eternal because the movement is about human rights, human dignity, and the ability to self-actualize. That's what I see the movement as. So every generation has a role to play. Right now, we are the ones who are here now. So we each have a role to play and we're playing it. Whether we're playing it as a minor character or as a star character, we're all playing our role in the movement. So the youth, SNCC, came up out of the university and college systems. Okay, they were also very much intertwined in the Black church, but SNCC itself was primarily the students.
Okay.
And they did that, and then another part of them, not really a part of them, but another aspect of them was CORE. So SNCC was like almost all Black, and CORE was multiracial. Like when you hear about the Schwarmer, the Jewish allies who were murdered. Okay, that was CORE. All right. Okay. So all these things were happening at the same time. But going to the bus boycott piece, this is where the beauty of a Rosa Parks and a Martin Luther King come in. Rosa Parks is, in my view, for that Montgomery story, a bigger hero than Martin Luther King. Because see, Rosa Parks was an organizer. She got involved. She saw a need. She got involved. She started helping pull people together and had a full organization running. She was running within the NAACP as a leader, as a prominent voice, right? And there were so many like her. Martin Luther King is a unique person and a unique talent who is able to mobilize. So he comes in, draws the attention in, but underneath it was still the NAACP and the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee that were really doing the organizing piece. But I shall relent.